So this is my design thinking diary for week 3, and it is also my week 3 submission. So first I'm just going to go through the weekly monologue, and after that then I will give an overall evaluation which will act as my week 3 submission. So just on the feedback I got after week 2, I suppose the main thing that I got from it was that maybe mental health is too broad an issue, and that it would probably be better to pick maybe a specific mental health disorder or issue, and that is something that I did. So again, I still identified the problem of poor mental health. I kind of just wanted to stay with that, but I looked at it more in depth here. So I kind of went along the lines of OCD. So again, just I briefly looked at it now, and I suppose what I want to do is to make an artifact now instead that will assist the person suffering with this specific mental health disorder. So I thought the best way of doing that going forward, again from the feedback, would maybe be to do a case study. So I know a few people affected by it, and it's definitely something that I'm going to carry out. So I think it just by asking them questions and researching that way, it'll help me understand it best possible, and it'll help me understand what can actually assist them and what would be effective. So what would actually help them in their lives, or something that would even just, as we see in the top right corner, give them a bit of temporary relief, because it's a vicious cycle. And again, just all I'm looking to do is provide something that will help them to reach or to gain this temporary relief, or just along that lines. Yeah. So what I'm thinking to do then, just going back to research and investigation again, I'll be bouncing back to that. So just carrying out the case study. So what would actually help them, and how can I promote this temporary relief? So having completed that, I also changed my design brief. So that's below here in the middle left. So this is kind of my second draft for my design brief. So I changed that to design and realize a sustainable creative artifact that will address the need of a young person suffering with OCD. So I suppose they're the main kind of changes that I dealt with in week 3. The new stuff that I kind of got onto was just a few of my initial ideas. So again, these were just a few doodles that kind of came into my head thinking about the design brief, even when I didn't have the design brief, just a problem statement, just a few sketches that I did and got a few ideas from. So I've mainly looked at artifact ideas so far. However, Richie mentioned during the lab that the artifact made, it will be fairly dependent on the waste material sourced. So that's another thing that I'm going to have to look more into. So again, we're dealing with the 80-20 ratio. So 80% is to be waste. And again, just very few ideas. So just what I was looking at was maybe the Hurleys inside the door. I also have to go down to, I'm going to go down to my grandparents' farm. So just to have a look there, there's going to be a lot of stuff around, a lot of stuff that I might be able to pick up. And also my father is a fabricator in Lieber. So I'm just have to have a bit of a conversation about with him about the type of waste that is produced there, if he might be able to get his hands on it. And even below the farm, I know he does his own kind of job, so he's going to have a lot of stuff available. So again, that's just a few of my waste ideas and just my artifact ideas as well. So at the moment, very vague, but still going to be looking into it. And that's pretty much it for my monologue for week 3. So now I'll move on to my evaluation of the whole process so far. So this is just a quick evaluation just for the week 3 submission, just going over everything that I've covered up to date. So starting off, this is my updated iterative approach, how I'm going at it. So again, kind of looks all over the place. So I suppose firstly, I would have actually started off with analysis and research, so analysing the problem that we were given. Then I went back to exploration of the world around me. So I was kind of bouncing in between the need finding, initial ideas, and I was also over and back to the discovery aspects. So when I encountered a problem, I would have gone back to analyse that, and yeah, so just analyze the problem just to know where I was going. I suppose just for myself, I just kind of like to have an idea of where I'm going at all times. So that led me to back to my discovery. So on to the next slide here. This is the first thing that I did, so my analysis. So I just analyzed the module problem statement that we were given and just kind of highlighted the keywords and just wanted to analyze exactly what was wanted just to ensure that I was started off going in the correct direction. So then this was my mood board, and just I suppose with the feedback that I did get from Keelan, it's actually something that I might look at changing a bit again. So I might just create a mood board that is focused more on my interests and inspirations and them sort of things. So it's actually something that I will be working on. So this isn't my set mood board yet at the moment. So I suppose what I want to do with it is just, like I said, just put my key interests on it, and then I will look at linking that into the issues that I want to deal with. So the environmental, economic, and social issues that I want to deal with from the mood board that I will create. So this was just my initial first one. I then went on to my need finding, so looking for a problem, and I suppose the key problem that I wanted to look at was poor mental health. So obviously a big problem in the world at the moment, and I just feel like because it's our last module, I would get the most enjoyment out of it. I'd be happy to put the work into it, and I'd actually really enjoy doing it. So I was thinking it's just something that I really wanted to do. So the kind of thing I was looking at was people helping people. So again, what I want to do with this project is really help someone, and again that kind of slid into my next slide. So just again from the feedback that I got, mental health might have been too broad an issue. So what I looked at and what we would have looked at then from the start of this video is OCD. So I was going to focus in on someone with OCD and try and develop an artifact that could help them. So to do that, I'm going to conduct a case study of a person suffering with OCD, and I believe that'll be the best way to get to know how I can help them best. So continuing on again, my need finding, I identified the problem, just referred back to the module challenge, came up with a problem statement that I'm fairly happy with. So I want to create an artifact device that can promote a relaxed environment in times of stress or troubles, which may lead to deterioration in mental well-being of the person or a young person, as I will be focusing on. So that just let me know. I just had one. I wasn't an idea that was noted, and I've picked that up. So just another form of inspiration was just a laptop stand. So again, what I'm kind of thinking along the lines of is that if somebody is struggling, they might jump in the bed and might want to go on their laptop or write in a journal or something like that. So that was just something that came true for me. So that portable worktop is just a bit of inspiration for me, and that led me on then to my design brief. So this is my second draft for it, and it is design and realize a sustainable creative artifact that will address the need of a young person suffering with OCD. So my first draft was probably too broad, so I just focused in on a person with OCD. So again, I'll be able to carry out my case study and focus in and possibly really make a difference for a person suffering with it, which is what I want to do. So having done that, I then looked at my initial ideas, and again from the lecture in week 2 with Keelan, nature is the biggest designer. So as I progress through the ideation phase, I will incorporate nature and just aspects from nature as well. For the ideas that are here, they're kind of just quick doodles that came out of my head. So just the initial things that I just started sketching now when I kind of came up with the problem statement and design brief. So again, they were just initial sketches. The highlighted words are just kind of words that came into my head, kind of keywords that I was thinking. So the main things that were in mind. So the lap table, just something that will help a person de-stress. So I want the person to be comfortable. And for someone suffering with OCD, organization is going to be a big thing. So they were all just kind of the main thoughts that came into my head. And yeah, they were just basically the key things. In terms of the waste, then again, we're looking at the 80-20 as I mentioned before. And I think that the artifact will be kind of dependent on the waste material sourced. So that is the next thing that I'm going to be working towards. So this weekend now, I'm hoping to get a few places just to source as much material as possible, no matter how useless I might think it'd be at the time, it could come in handy for something. So I'm just going to try and source as much as I can. So again, we've been informed the labs are going to be kind of independent for us the next day. So I'd like to have some stuff, even just to mess around with it, see what could be done with it, and things like that. So for now, that is pretty much everything, and that is included for my week 3 submission.